This is the Automotive Repair Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome, Carm Capriato, 10 years in Remarkable Results Radio and the Town Hall Academy. As when we do the Town Hall, it's always with me plus two or three. Love to have these, if you will, Town Hall style podcasts. Got a couple of very interesting fellas with me today. We're going to have one of these. If you don't listen and you miss it, you're going to be sorry. That's the kind of episode we're going to do, kind of a really cool little Town Hall coffee clutch thing. But before we get started, thank you so much to NAPA Tracks, today's class, KUKUI, and Pit Crew Loyalty. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the most critical tool in your shop. And NAPA Tracks will move your shop into the SMS fast lane with on-site training, 6 days a week support, and local representation. Find NAPA Tracks on the web at napatracs.com. Ready to optimize with today's class? Boy, listen to an episode we did with David Boys. Great program. Roll out a training plan for your automotive shop. In just 5 minutes daily, boost knowledge, retention, and improve team performance. Start seeing results today. Join your peers at today'sclass.com. Shop owners, stop juggling multiple marketing tools. KUKUI's integrated platform, they deliver 4 times better website conversions, automated follow-up, and real-time ROI tracking. Get industry-leading customer support with KUKUI. That's KUKUI.com. You're probably tired of chasing new customers who never return. We understand. Pit Crew Loyalty ends the one-and-done cycle, turning first visits into lasting, reliable revenue. On the web at pitcrewloyalty.com. Hey, welcome back. Here's my panel. Cavan Robinson, Vice President of Operations for the Aftermarket at Vehlo. Hey, Cavan.
Hey, Carm. Thanks for having us. This will be a fun little chat that we're going to put together here.
I just can't imagine how big your job is. Oh, my God. With all those brands and all those products that you have. Do you sleep?
I get some good sleep. Tony would relate to this. I have a 7 and 4-year-old, so I don't sleep because of them. I do sleep because of my job, because I have a very good supporting cast. I'll just say that.
Congrats on the kids, and I've been there and I've done that. Right about that same age gap. Tony Mercury, VP of Revenue for Auto Shop Solutions. Hello, Tony.
Hey, Carm. Good to see you again.
Same here. Hey, guys, a lot going on inside of our industry as we near the end of the year, and I'm not sure when this podcast will release, if it will release in December or in January, but however, we got to put our collective brains together as businesses, and I don't enjoy looking in the rearview mirror that much. I don't. But what I do love to do is I love to look forward, and I love to reinvent, and which we've done actually of late with the rebranding of the Automotive Repair Podcast Network and the release of our own app, which we're so darn excited about. And so I wanted Cavan and Tony to come out and just share how they see it. Remember, Vehlo is part of the umbrella company. It's AutoServe One, Protractor, Shop Boss, Tire Guru, Shopware, 360 Payments, Auto Shop Solutions. What a cadre of brands and great products. So they can actually probably talk to us about anything going on inside the industry. But the trends that are going on, people want to do MSOs, they want to scale, they want to get bigger, and then they want to get bigger so that private equity can come by and make me an offer. And I'm hearing that a lot. I'm talking to so many friends in the industry, guys, and I say, have you gotten a call lately? And they go, 2 last month. It's becoming an interesting side discussion. And I said, are you ready? And they say, no, but I was surprised that I got the offer. What's your take on that, Cavan?
Yeah, it's consolidation, I would say, is kind of the theme that's taken over, at least in the last 8 months. And I saw it in 2 ways. We're fresh coming off of SEMA and, having conversations there. First is that we had really good booth traffic, but man, it was all MSOs, enterprises, like, hey, I got 5 locations. I'm going to be at 10 by the end of the year, or I have 150 locations and I want to be at 300 by the end of next year. It was a lot less of the single shop owner operator that we typically see. And that's just representative within, kind of our product offerings that we have. Like you had mentioned in the kind of Vehlo portfolio, Shop Boss, right? That's kind of our single owner operator. I'm coming off a paper. Like we didn't have a lot of those prospects or those types of shops show up at SEMA this year, like we've seen in the past. So a lot of that plays directly into the growth and the consolidations of those single shops getting acquired, going to process, some of the smaller satellite shops that are becoming part of these larger, equity plays, essentially. That's been one of the big ones. And then I'm sure, as you've seen, even on the software side of things, I mean, we're probably a perfect example is like consolidation of the vendor software, right? Some of the mergers that have happened recently with, I'll just, throw some of the names out there, whether it's, Steer Auto Ops, TechMetric, Shop Genie, Parts Tech, and RepairLink OEC. Like, it's happening on both sides of the aisle. And I think it's really interesting kind of seeing where some of those efficiencies are being gained, but also where it's, kind of pinching parts of the market.
It is such an interesting trend so we'll tell everybody, we're just, a week away from Thanksgiving. And the word that I keep thinking about, Cavan, is gobble up. As funny and maybe guffawing that may be, it's a reality.
Yeah, we had a partner once. This is maybe related in terms of like an analogy, but we had a partner once saying like when you're looking for software, you're essentially sitting at the buffet, and aftermarket for the growth that it's experienced in the past 3 to 4 years. Tony can attest to this. We went from having anywhere from 30 to 40 kind of partners integrations to I have a pipeline of about 300 right now that are waiting to work with shop management systems and be, AI plugins and do diagnostic work. Like, the explosion of that software is really great for the customer and can also be super complex, right? Like, hey, I'm going to have 10 products now that run my operation, and I have to be, kind of a product expert or subject matter expert on every single one of them. So it's interesting.
I may talk out of school here. What's going on with the API charges?
Oh, so yeah, on the platform side of things, I'll give you the details, but basically we have, I think from let's call it early 2025, we've had 175 new vendor requests for API access to all of our systems. That accounts for, if you want to call it a few million requests per day, essentially, of, coming in. Our infrastructure costs have risen, and I'm sure there's a lot of shop management systems that experience a similar, kind of trend, but our infrastructure costs in terms of housing the data, distributing the data have gone up by about 80% in 2 years. And that's just simply because you have more partners requiring more data at a faster time. So for us, it's really just a cost sharing and cost recovery program where we need to build out the infrastructure to support the growth of the market. And it's going to continue to grow, as you've seen, like the investment that we have.
So will that end up ultimately being a competitive disadvantage because I'm going to charge X, someone else is going to charge something else? Will the industry, do you think, standardize what an API connection would cost?
I think that there's definitely going to be some regulation. Who knows what form that'll come in, right? I came from the franchise side of things, franchise dealership for about 10 years. And this was pretty standard practice for most DMS companies of, hey, if you want to connect into our, I'll just throw some of the names out there because they're very wide open about this. But if you want to connect into Dealer Track, for instance, now their charges are much higher because there's, not only cost recovery, but also some profitability things there. We'll just be honest about it. On our side, it's two-pronged. I think the first part is just simply market parity in terms of we got to get, we've had an open ecosystem for 15 years. And if you're talking about Protractor, 25 years, that's a lot of vendors and a lot of calls and a lot of API credentials that have had open access for many, many, many years and have probably abused the system to some extent. So the regulation that we're putting into place, phase one, is really just like, how do we recover the cost to build out the infrastructure and really meet the need of the growing market? That's one. Number two is then how do we work with those partners to make sure, and we'll just talk about the integration partners, to make sure that we're adding value, because obviously if somebody says, hey, it's going to cost me extra to integrate with a Vehlo company, there's got to be extra value there, whether it's a feature, an integration, some sort of, reporting or analytics tool, which of course we have in place. Because we have to be able to prove that value simply because of the cost, and we're price sensitive. So those are the two things that really stick out the most in terms of how we really go to market with a program like this.
I had a discussion with someone and said, if whiskey goes up, I pay for it at the bar, me, the customer. And there's no doubt I ultimately do somewhere along the line when that's, even though the owner of the bar may not be happy about it, he may have to change the price of his drinks up 50 cents or $1, whatever it is. And so I think it's something in order to maintain some of the really great integration platforms that we have out there, we got to just accept it, move on, and, somewhere along the line, charge our customer for it. It's not a good thing to say, but it's been going on forever.
Yeah, it's a maturity aspect of the market, right? Like if you look at, I've been at Vehlo now for 5 years. So I've seen the growth of it just from working with our partners internally. And we have our own complications internally in terms of, integrations. I mean, we have AutoServe One, which is our DVI platform that integrates into the shop management. So infrastructure is a very important piece. And I think what you've seen recently, even from these gigantic providers like AWS, and I'm sure you just saw a couple of days ago, Cloudflare had a major outage. A lot of that is driven directly by the amount of traffic that's coming in, what the quality of infrastructure is. And if these, multi-$100 million companies are having issues with it, certainly it can affect an aftermarket company that's, 1/25th the size of that. So the ability for us to, do a little bit of resolution, and it's probably a bit reactive right now just because we need to get into a space where we're supporting our partners. And the second piece is we also never charge customer for API access. So we have hundreds and hundreds of customers that use Power BI tools and analytics tools, and they have some AI tools that they've built out, phone recording tools. And if they need access to the API, absolutely, there's no cost, there's no charging there. It's more the facilitation of, hey, now I have this vendor that needs to send out data to 500 customers. Becomes a pretty complex web of that, and we're responsible for it, right? If the system doesn't exchange the data, or if the system goes down, that's completely on us and we're held liable for it. So yeah, there's just got to be a bit more regulation in place because we're all friends and we all want to work together. And at the same time, we don't want our system to go down. We don't want our partner systems to go down. It's not always the easiest thing to be responsible and accountable for because you have to have conversations like these. But in the end, it ends up being good for all three phases: the system of record, the partner integrator, and the customer, because they're getting a much more reliable, efficient, and secure platform to work within.
Just listening to you, it's just like, do we really realize what's going on under the covers of all the software that we use, or all the example, AutoServe One, the DVI, and that connectivity to whatever platform, shop management system? Wow. I just think we go turn the on button on and we just make an assumption it's supposed to work. And then for you to bring up AWS, Amazon's, what would you call it? Big data, AI, Brainiac Center. Do we realize, Tony, do your customers really know where their stuff is sitting?
That's a good question. So, just like any web-based provider, right? Everything's hosted out on the cloud, either through AWS or Cloudflare. So, we're using the same tools that shop management systems are using as well.
So what do you see out there, Tony, as far as you guys are the market, a really great marketing guru? Been to your place. What an incredible operation. We've interviewed Margaret a bunch of times, and boy, what's going on? Pay-per-click, SEO, social media. When someone comes to you and says, save me, Tony, what are the top 3 things you want to help them with?
It's always the foundation is going to be the website, right? What does your presence look like? How does your content read? How is the site coded? So the basics at the end of the day for that. Paid search has been very interesting the last couple of years, especially really it started right after COVID. We saw this huge adoption of paid search after COVID. I feel a lot of it kind of connects with the boom we've seen in just technology adoption overall, right? Like so many more people are comfortable using Zoom and video chat and things along those lines. I did a class last year, 2 years ago, and I pulled some data points. Walking into COVID, our average customer was spending about $300 to $500 a month on ads. The number's like $2,500 to $3,500 a month now on ads. It's gotten way more competitive. We've seen a lot more dealerships enter paid search space because in the dealership world, car sales overall are down. New cars are more expensive, right? So they're trying to facilitate that loss of business with their service centers. So they're doing more marketing to try to balance their books with fixing more vehicles. So I'm seeing Facebook ads from dealers. I'm seeing paid search ads from dealers. So that's unfortunately, I'm going to say, helping drive the average cost per click up.
Let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax was built from the ground up to make your business more profitable and efficient. We provide an extensive set of tools to increase and track profitability in real time. NAPA Trax offers the industry's best post-sale support, hands down, and we train your people on site. Yep, on site. And we offer remote refresher training 10 times a week, and customer support is open 6 days a week. Give us a call, visit the website, or join our Facebook community today to learn more. We'll prove to you that Trax is the single best shop management system in the business. NAPA Trax is always customized and tailored for you, whether you're a one-man shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice. Visit us on the web at NAPATRAX, that's NAPATRACS.com. Strengthen your shop's entire team with today's class. Everyone from technicians to service advisors can access impactful training on their phones in just 5 minutes a day. Opt for solo sessions or ignite friendly competition, challenging team members to climb the leaderboard for the highest score. Our effective daily training ensures measurable progress, helping you develop your team. Train smarter, not harder, with today's class and transform your shop and your people. Start seeing results today at todaysclass.com. Shop owners, we know you are overwhelmed with a flood of missed calls, empty bays, and disconnected marketing tools. KUKUI has spent over a decade building one integrated platform for auto repair shops. One login, one dashboard, and mobile-first websites that convert 4 times industry average. Smart, innovative CRM with automated follow-up, 24/7 online booking, and real-time ROI tracking. With 900-plus years of combined team experience, we fuel the growth of 2,200-plus shops and have influenced $3 billion in revenue. Stop working harder. Start working smarter. Get industry-leading customer support and book a demo with KUKUI. That's KUKUI.com. You know, most shop owners feel trapped spending on ads while half their first-time customers never come back. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. And it's not your fault. The industry average is 54% one and dones. We understand how discouraging that can be. Well, Pit Crew Loyalty changes the story. Our clients cut that rate by up to 38%, raising lifetime value by more than 50%. Loyalty members visit nearly 3 times more often, creating predictable revenue without extra ad spend. Pit Crew Loyalty, where customers stay and shops thrive. On the web at pitcrewloyalty.com. It's so interesting. I copied this article that I got, and dealerships have lost 12% of service visits to competition since 2018, a study from Cox Automotive. I mean, they're the big guys. And so to your point, and I think that's something that we have to pay attention to going into 2026 is the independent professional side. They want a piece of that.
They're coming back for it, yeah.
And if they're going to come in with a pay-per-click, we just can't sit back and rely on our laurels. But $2,500. You'll probably do the math for one of your clients and find a decent ROI, yay or nay?
Oh, very positive ROI. So we've also started rolling out a secondary campaign type called PMAX, which runs in parallel with the traditional search campaign. So we've seen better cost per clicks, better conversion actions. And at the end of the day, what it means to a shop owners, they're getting more phone calls and better bang for their buck. And I always like to remind shop owners that we just make the phone ring. Their big variable is how good is your front counter? Are they treating every single one of these calls like a brand new phone call, saying the right things, asking the right questions, and booking the appointment?
And that's why we have those incredible pieces of software that listen and analyze and serve up to you what's good, what's not. It's amazing where we have come in just a few short years in our industry. And I love what you said, Tony, about the front counter. I still believe that's the epicenter, the nerve center, the thing that makes everything happen, because no business gets done unless it goes through our people at our front counter.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, one of the things that's helping accelerate this timeline is AI, especially marketing. Huge, big buzzword right now. So the big focus is, in what we're looking at investigating, we're running some beta tests right now, is looking at, so GEO was the term that was coined. So it's generative engine optimization. So to put it in simple terms, it's people going to Gemini, people going to ChatGPT and searching for auto repair. How do you influence the site to show up on those platforms? The other big one is AEO, so answer engine optimization. So that's going to be more familiar, being seen on Google, right? It's answering those questions, that little snippet up at the top. So we're rolling out some beta programs right now. We're testing them internally, really to understand of what modifications to files and code and FAQ sections on the website to really drive those results for shop owners. Because the year-over-year adoption rate of AI usage is crazy. I always use my mom as the litmus test. And I asked her actually 2 days ago, what are you using for AI? And she was like, ChatGPT. And I was like, all right, it's starting.
Okay. You have just blown my mind. Even though I've heard GEO and AEO, I've heard of it, but I've not heard it all in kind of one little 5-minute bundle. And so here's what my mind blow is. Wow. I'm a shop owner. I kind of get what SEO is. Here's what I'm going to do. Whoa, here comes GEO and AEO. Wait a minute, Tony, handle this for me. I got too many other things to do. And I see the value in a marketing company being able to wrap their arms around, you've got to be their forward sentinel on all of this.
Yeah, the tricky part with AI right now is it's feels to some extent like vaporware or just super trendy, right? Every week there's 5 new AI tools that we're getting asked about, So it's really understanding of, we want to make sure at AutoShop Solutions, we're being slow and methodical about our adoption practices for our customers for AI specifically, because it can change in 60 days, right? So we got to be very thoughtful of how we're presenting it and how we're testing it to make sure that these best practices are working. So Carm, free tidbit for anyone listening. The big thing right now is FAQ sections on websites. So the quick breakdown is we're so well trained how to search on Google that we're just searching for brake repair, Buffalo, New York. When we go to AI, we're searching, hey, I have a 2013 Volkswagen. My brakes are making weird sounds. How do I get this fixed? So we're having a conversation with AI where we're not having a conversation with Google.
Wait a minute. You just knocked me off. I mean, people write blogs all the time. And no matter where they get their content, they put it up. They're talking to their client about their vehicle and their upkeep and their maintenance and a problem that we had, and we solved it this way. Your point is, if the FAQ button isn't really big, what's your problem, what's your issue? And let that website search its own website for information and bring it back. Is that what you're saying?
No. So the AI tools are using the FAQ sections as a source of truth.
But what about my idea?
That's actually a good idea. Yeah, just have it backfeed into it and cohort all that data.
Why don't we put an FAQ? Our AI FAQ. All right. Is there a lot of web traffic anymore? I know people have to have them, but are they going to other places are they doing online bookings? And maybe we can do this FAQ AI search, which forces me as an owner to be incredibly involved with content.
Yeah, it's ever changing, right? So we're still seeing a ton of traffic coming through Google. Month over month, we are seeing some of that slice getting shared with AI tools, but Google's still the champion of source of traffic for us.
Getting me to my website?
Well, so that's the other thing is they're called 0-click search results now. So if I am going back to that example, brake repair, Buffalo, New York, I might not be clicking as deep as the website, but the website's getting indexed and pushing those results to the top. So we're seeing a lot, especially with schedulers, that you're getting that index card on the right-hand side and it'll say, Carm's Auto Repair, and there's that book now button. But that's all getting indexed from the website, the content, just like you're talking about, those FAQ sections. So it's super important to have that on your website so it can feed into your Google business profile so you can get that direct booking.
So I need the website for my foundation, but am I getting that many visits of late?
So I would say year over year, we are seeing less visits to websites, but the conversion actions and the phone calls are up because it's just, we want to make sure that we're looking at every single path in the customer journey to make sure that they're still ending up at the shop.
It's the magnet in all of this, the website.
There we go. Yep.
All right, I coined that. You can start using that tomorrow.
I will.
AutoShop Solutions is your magnet for everything. Anyway, love to have some fun here on is it a Thursday? Is it a Wednesday? I don't even know. Cavan, what's going on as you see in burnout? I mean, you're talking to clients, and I have to tell you, I do a mastermind in the industry, and I was just at Apex. I'll be doing my mastermind again at Vision in 2026. And when I ask the people that have signed up for the class, a very limited class size, burnout is either 1, 2, or 3 that they want to come in and talk about and share some ideas. What do you see or what do you hear?
Are we talking about burnout in terms of the employees within the shops just grinding it.
Owner burnout, shop owner. Yeah, we're just grinding ourselves into fine coffee.
I'd probably say there's two things that kind of thematically fit into that. The first is, what is your staffing and recruiting? I think that that's one that's come up a number of times. And some people might, come into the fray and basically just say, well, I don't either have time to recruit, or the pool is just not as good as it used to be, or I don't have the budget to bring somebody on. And some of those things are business operations pieces, right? If you can justify additional work, Tony's wheelhouse, right? You bring in more cars, maybe you have more capacity within the bay, you can bring in a new technician. So some of those are proved out within, whatever your 2026 plan is. So just talking about the recruiting side of things first, this is exactly why you see the emergence of companies like, and I'm going to say one of them here, but I know there's multiple, but Promotive is a great example. One of the reasons I bring that up is one of our good friends, Lisa Coyle, former founder of 360 Payments. We work with them directly, and we actually send them technician data now as well. So they are not only helping with filling the pipeline for recruiting and getting additional resources into the shop, but then they're also proving it through technician efficiency reporting, basically saying, hey, we'll place a technician and it's awesome if that technician can complete specific jobs for you. But also we need to know based off of what they're making, maybe, whatever it's hourly or flat fee, whatever they end up doing, how much of that is actually contributing to your business, and then how much of that is actually justifiable within that recruiting process. So I think that that's one of the pieces from a recruiting and just kind of like what's out there standpoint. You'd actually be surprised what the pool looks like. And I think a lot of people just don't necessarily know what that first step is, right? They post on their Facebook pages, or they do staffing and positioning, through, your online tools. And they just are, it's kind of like us, to be, but we're hiring CSMs and support people and salespeople all the time. And you guys probably know as well, it takes a good 100 phone calls to find 3 really rock stars that you can then go into the interview process. It's a long tail process. And if you don't keep the pipeline and the bench fully stocked, essentially, for when you need that next up, you're going to run into issues with burnout pretty quickly. So that's just one piece. And I'll talk about the other, which is just operational efficiency within the shop. But I'm curious too, just kind of what you guys have heard from recruiting, because I feel like that's one that's been hitting close to home a lot in the last 6 to 8 months.
Great friends with Lisa, partner with us on Hunt Show. And we've done a bunch of episodes with her just recently. And I got to tell you that this whole ghosting thing is all part of this burnout thing where, you may have your 3 finals, but one of them may not even respond. You're a final candidate, and you may not even hear from that person, even though you've taken all those steps down the highway.
And I'll tell you, it's not just aftermarket. My wife's a nurse here in Madison, Wisconsin, and she oversees a department at a clinic, and she's responsible for doing all the, RN interviews essentially. And this is a pretty respectable position. Like you got to go through college, you got to get certification. Like it's a pretty professional. It's not just, folks that are coming straight out of an internship. The amount of times that she has, hey, I got to go into work this afternoon. I got to do an interview. And then she'll call me 5 minutes later. The person never showed up. And then next day I follow up with her. I'm like, did you ever hear from that person? She's like, no, they never called. They never emailed. I will never hear from them again after going through this entire process. So yeah, the ghosting piece is just, maybe myself as a bit of a millennial or whatever else, like that's kind of crazy to me. Like just send a text message. It goes into, some of the economic pieces too, but just the fact that it happens across the board, every vertical, every industry. And think about the amount of time that the shop and their resources spend finding those candidates just to get to the finish line and basically say, I can't cross the line at this point. Like I have to go right back to scratch. So it can be super frustrating.
Add your time, equate that to money, add the money you spend on a recruiter, and you wonder that nothing ever happens again. And again, let's go back to why you need that individual. And there's a whole bunch. We could talk forever on it. And I've done tons and tons of episodes on retention, recruiting, and all that great stuff, running a great company. Tony, I want to ask you, listening to Cavan talk about burnout, and I start to think about where technology fits in to burnout. And I keep thinking that we use really some really cool technology tools here as a podcaster. We produce 7 podcasts a week. We've got our own app now. Every once in a while, we find this really cool app that makes our life a little easier. And I'm wondering if technology could help some of our shop owners climb out of chaos, which is equating to I go home and I'm another great day at the office, dearie. Oh yeah, it was great.
I was talking to a younger technician a couple years ago. So first point, I was recently listening to a podcast and they said that the average age of a technician right now is 43 years old. And you got to think the people in those roles have been doing this job for probably 20 years. Their bodies are beat up. It's not an easy job by any means. So there's essentially a shelf life of how long somebody's going to be a technician, right? So we really got to start focusing on this younger generation. And I think systemically, like Kevin and I are of the generation that it was go to college and get a degree, right? Don't look at blue collar jobs. So it's a broken system. I mean, my boys are 12 and 14, and I hope they go into a blue collar industry because the amount of money you can make doing that is very real. And I don't think people realize that. That's a big talking point. Another one is just looking at the hiring process from the candidate's perspective. So the conversation I had with the younger technician is he was looking for a new job. He was leaving the dealership. His first step was to actually look at the shop's websites. He used that as his litmus test because he said he was very specific in what he wanted, right? He didn't want to go to an older shop that's using pen and paper, that wasn't using technology, that wasn't going to these trade shows, that wasn't offering training. And he solely based it on how new and how does this business's website look? Because his thing was, if their website isn't up to date, they don't care about technology. So that like self-interview before they even call or pick up the phone starts by themselves and looking at it. I'm sure they're looking at Google reviews, right? Because it's, do I want to work here? How do they treat their employees? How do they treat their customers? What does their technology look like? Are they going to invest in me to be better at my job? Right? We all hear the stories of the new techs. They get paired up with a master tech and they have to do all the crap jobs and they don't really put the time or effort into them. And they make them feel insignificant initially in the beginning is kind of the gist is what I hear quite a bit. So it's just, we need to embrace this younger crowd of, hey, this is a good job. This is a good career path. There's a lot of opportunity down the road. I mean, how many shop owners were previous technicians?
Yeah, 80% maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Or more. Yeah, I know. You're so right. So 43 years old is probably right. A couple of things that you said there. Every time I hear somebody talk about young people, we got to change the word trade to career. And I think when parents start hearing the word career, hey, son, there's a lot of great careers in welding and in electrical and in automotive and in, just go down the list. I believe welding is the most important career in the entire world. Because if you look around yourself, you wouldn't be at your desk and putting your elbows on your desk if there wasn't a person who knew how to weld. I just love that. It's got to be a career. I love your point.
3 of my best friends from high school never went to college. And it was kind of to Tony's point on like being in this kind of generation, that was the expectation, right? Like you graduate high school, that's the minimum, then you go to college. They didn't go to college. They actually worked at a farm, agriculture, right? I still keep in contact with them. Some of them are my best friends. And I was just there last summer and, he walked me around his facility and he was like, so here's our new $10 million John Deere combine. And here's our new, blah, blah. And then when he goes to market with his crop, I'm like, maybe I made the wrong choice out of high school. Like there were probably like my uncle owns a farm in Plainfield, Wisconsin, middle of nowhere, and has this giant farmhouse mansion. He's got a lake house. He's got like super, super successful, never went to college. I think to your point, Carm, like they are professionals in their career. There's not the expectation of, hey, you have to have some sort of secondary education to get to this type of level, because guess what? I know a lot of people with MBAs that aren't doing so hot. Like that's just kind of the way of the market right now. So totally agree. Like there is absolute like perception change needed. And I think some of it's starting, but it's got to be on a bigger scale. Like, and it's not only within aftermarket, to Tony's point and a few others, like, a lot of these jobs require a lot of people. And guess what? AI is not going to help me fix a toilet anytime soon. Like there's a lot of things out there that still require an individual to have expertise in.
You are so right. I saw a post just recently, stop going to get your MBA. Yeah, it was one person pontificating, that I spent all this extra money and I still don't have anything that's worthwhile. I still believe that the bachelor's degree today that is being taught in college was the same as I had in high school all those years ago. I'm sorry to say this, that I just think the educational field has kind of dumbed itself down just to make more money and have more degrees. And so there's so many people out there speaking about trades, and I want to change that word to careers, because I think to a young person, they don't think of the word career. They think of the word trade. I'm going to be a blue collar. I'm going to be wearing jeans for the rest of my life. And yeah, maybe I'm going to make, $20, $25 an hour. Wrong. We're not doing our job as the automotive industry to talk about, we say you can come out and you can make $100,000. It's the wrong thing to say. You have the potential to make all kinds of six-figure money, but when you start, you won't starve. You'll be able to get yourself an apartment and all that great stuff. Go out on the weekends. I think we're setting too high of expectations because of the hobbyist. Cavan, you basically said it. Tony, let's say 80% of our shop owners came from the world of fixing cars and they decided to run a business. And unfortunately, I'm going to guess at a number. 45, 50% of them are still hobbyists. They don't know what a profit and loss statement is. They don't know how to go to the bank. They just don't have the latest equipment. And it's good to hear that the individuals are looking at websites, which these people probably don't have, to see if they want to come to work for me. And I just believe that the hobbyists that turned to be professional entrepreneurs went and got educated. And they didn't go back to school. They went to conferences. They hired a coach. They belonged in a networking group. They flourished. They had it in them to get out from behind the wrench and get behind the desk. So there is a whole bunch of ways to get that continuing education. And again, for 10 years, we've been talking about this. Ever since I started, this was the unbelievable, greatest message in the world. Get yourself in some accountability group or hire a coach. And every time, no, that's not for me. That's not for me. And they never want to tell you why it's not for them, but we know. We're smart enough to know why. And then sooner or later, one day, they decide to do it and they're pissed that they wasted all those years of not getting educated and being held to a higher standard. Because today, nobody's going to pay you $1 million for a business that doesn't exist. And in fact, you can't even probably live on $1 million if you retire.
Talking about this reminds me of a great quote. It's success is disguised in overalls and hard work.
Yes, I love that. This was kind of a really neat fireside. We should do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime.
Wow. Cavan Robinson, Vice President of Operations for the Aftermarket at Vehlo. Do you have any idea, folks, all the companies that are in the Vehlo umbrella? AutoServe One, Protractor, Shop Boss, Tire Guru, Shopware, 360 Payments, and Auto Shop Solutions, of which Tony is the VP of Revenue. Been inside of his office a couple of years ago when Tracy and I stopped by. Hey, thank you for this. A lot of great wisdom tossed around here. It's a great little salad. I think we just need to get it into a bowl, add some raspberry vinaigrette, and enjoy. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Carm.
Excellent. Thanks, Carm.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive repair business podcast, Remarkable Results Radio. Get your episodic education on the ARPN listening app at automotiverepairpodcastnetwork.com. Also enjoy the podcast on our Carm Capriato YouTube channel. Carm is all for advancing the professional automotive service industry. Until next time.